All of you, my sisters and brothers, Ugandans in the diaspora, I begin this lecture by offering my condolences to you who are British citizens of Ugandan origin with all your stripes and color, and you who live and work in Britain and are broadly the members of the Commonwealth, for the loss of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. When we convened a prayer gathering in her honor at the Park Plaza Hotel on Sunday, I said that the two periods which define modern Britain and have had great influence on the Commonwealth have both been interestingly presided over by women, Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. Victoria for more than 63 years and Elizabeth for 70 years. Both ladies became queens at a young age. One at 18, Queen Victoria, and Elizabeth at 27. They presided over rapid socio-economic change, and they both left their country in a better place, in better shape, so to say, than they found it. Perhaps there is something about women in leadership that we need to learn, we need to consider. Could it be that most women tend to be less temperamental? They nurture whatever is given to them on account of their being mothers, and they often have a longer view of life than men. It's a question I pose to you. Queen Victoria led the imperial age, building up a stronger navy that kept her country safe than many of her predecessors. She drove up strongly the Industrial Revolution forward and lifted her people from poverty and backwardness. Even if this was done much at the expense of other peoples, like our own country, many times displacing whole nations, taking their resources, but building up her Britain nevertheless. I hope you know that nobody expected her to build other people's countries. If you are weak, the world will eat you for lunch. And that is what happened to many of our countries. Nobody wakes up thinking of how to help you build a country. It is up to you. By 1913, when both the US and German economies bypassed Britain, a record Britain had held from about 1780, her country, Britain, Queen Victoria's country, had evolved from feudalism to a capitalist economy. It was able to withstand the economic changes wrought by the First World War and able to rebuild. Queen Elizabeth taking over from her in a way, because there was an interlude of a king in between, I think it's King George. Queen Elizabeth inherited a weak economy only 8 years after the Second Imperial War, 1939 to 1945. She inherited a shrunk middle class, a broken social and welfare system, a very paranoid Cold War British political class against Germany, but she steadily rebuilt brick by brick with her people. She built a better country, even when her nation's diplomatic, financial, and military power and resources over the century had significantly dwindled. She presided over one of the largest recovery programs of any nation after the war. She accelerated the decolonization process of many nations in Africa, starting with Sudan and Ghana in 1956 and ending with Zimbabwe in 1980. She oversaw the end of the Cold War, the period in which man broke the sound barrier and landed on the moon. Even if Britain missed this race, yet the country had had early technological lead. The West managed it, which is a lesson for our economies today to work hard at what we do in order to remain competitive. So I chose to deliver this lecture, even when I came to UK for a very different reason altogether. I came for a trade and export drive because I'm concerned that many leaders who come through your city of London are often like the clouds that threaten but don't bring rain. Many of us, included, often fly through this city and live in the rain shadow in terms of knowledge and understanding. I do not come through cities, this is a personal commitment, I don't come through cities where Ugandans are, live, or do business, and I don't reach out to them because I consider that it is a major duty of all those who know where our country has come from and are concerned about the future, to engage other Ugandans transparently so that together we can build on the foundations created by our leaders and grab the guardrails of knowledge that will give us a better tomorrow. I am also keenly aware of the peaceful elections you held in the party for the UK and Ireland branch after a long time of silence. And I thought it would be responsible for me to come through here and I don't meet you and impart a thing or two about the country and our organization, the movement. I thank you all who have worked together with your own resources to deliver a calm election, even choosing a young leader for the party branch. I deliberately picked this topic so I can take your mind off the pressure of being judgmental about the present, or for you to have to feel the need to sound politically correct, so that I can try and pull back the past that we are perhaps not able to change now, and to get you to focus on the future that I truly believe each one of us can shape wherever God has placed us. Some in business, others in government or NGOs, and some simply at home raising their children, making their homes as mothers and fathers. I need to speak to you freely, and I want to hear you open up to the challenges we face and the solutions you have to offer as young people. If we don't speak freely, we die inside, and we help no one in the end. 1,000 years is good to see the trajectory and ground we have covered as a country, while 100 years ahead is very good to look ahead, given this would be about 3 generations in a family. So the year is 843 AD at the Treaty of Verdun. Verdun is in northeastern France. At this treaty, the last 3 surviving grandsons of a man who would be known as the grandfather of European nationalism, a pace setter for what would be Europe after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. His name was Charlemagne. His grandsons parceled out Central and Western Europe, beginning the process of what became nationhood for these countries. One of the grandsons, Lothar, took present-day Belgium, Netherlands, and the western parts of Germany. Another one called Louis took France east of the Rhine, while another one called Charles took the remainder of modern France. In England about this time, Alfred the Great was at the time the king of Wessex and Mercia. These are Anglo-Saxon political entities in the British Midlands today. Alfred the Great was invaded by the Danes, who took the north, central, and eastern areas of Britain as a country. At the same time, Christianity was spreading, but largely in monasteries. In fact, in Africa, Christianity had been there much before Europe began to tell us where to belong and what to believe. Christianity was introduced. Please allow me to digress here. Christianity was introduced about 316 to 331 AD. So this is the 3rd century after Jesus Christ. This is because of 2 boys. One was called Decius and another one was called Frumentus. They were shipwrecked, and their father was killed on the high seas from a Syrian grain ship, and they were taken in by the king of Aksum. Aksum is Ethiopia, where the queen of Sheba traveled from to meet King Solomon about the year 970 BC. These 2 boys, Decius and Frumentus, taught the prince of Aksum, the son of the king who brought them in. Frumentus eventually became the first bishop of Aksum, and he grew the small population that had been hiding there from Roman persecution. So, Europeans did not begin to proselytize to us about being good Anglicans or to become good Catholics, as the French did, till 1877 and 1879 respectively. This is 1,546 years after the church had set foot in Africa. So it is safe to argue, therefore, that about this time when changes were happening in Europe, this is from 843 AD onwards, when kingdoms and religions were forming, when Christianity was finding ways to stand against the rising specter of Islam around 100 after 622 AD, when these religions were growing, in the greater parts of Eastern Africa, there was continuous movements of the Bantu or the Batembuzi groups from present-day Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, through Zambia, DRC, some settling in Uganda, others in the outlying tropical and savanna grasslands of central South Uganda. We know this from two assumptions. First, by 830 AD, Wagadu or Ghana, this is Wagadu is the old name of the old Ghana Empire, not present-day Ghana. So Wagadu or Ghana, located in present-day southeastern Mauritania, parts of western Mali, not to be confused with Mali of today. At this time, this was one of the richest Sahelian kingdom that gave way to Mali Kingdom, the Kingdom of Mali, which was made famous by Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa, one of the richest rulers in Africa. Between 1324 to 1327 AD, for example, this is in the 12th century, at the peak of his power, it is said Mansa Musa took tons of gold from his kingdom through Egypt on the way to Mecca and Medina for a religious pilgrimage. As these kingdoms receded, either on account of less mining of gold and salt, which were the sources of wealth, the earlier Ghana kingdom, and as perhaps rapid changes in the weather and climatic patterns, populations were forced to move eastwards through the marshlands and watersheds of the River Congo, River Niger, River Lualaba, into the Great Lake areas of Nalubare, which is Victoria, Mwitanzije, or Albert, Masioro, which is George. And other people moved in the central and western parts of Uganda and northwestern Tanzania. This is one assumption. I thank you.
Would like to hear from you. Please email us at info@tapmedia.com and visit our website at www.tapmedia.com. You can also visit our offices located at Tomosi Business Park, Luzira, Port Bell Road, or call 0414 220 702. Thank you.